Welcome back to another episode of Adam's Fall. Is there any profession that is less reliable than historians or historical analysis? I know that is a strong take, but that's often how I feel. Do historians or historical analysis give us the truth, capital T truth? Can historians really say what the truth is about historical events? I come from a science background. I've done years of medical research. I've published in the medical literature. Do historians do experiments? Are the results testable, refutable? Well, in my mind, a historian gathers a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. They also dismiss a lot of information and knowledge. And they put together a conclusion that reflects their bias. And if an historian tells you that they are unbiased, you should immediately assume they are biased. So let's not pretend that any historian of, let's say, Christianity or religion or Joseph Smith or Mormonism is unbiased and that they can arrive at the truth of events that happened centuries or millennia ago. It is my opinion that we put too much faith in historical analysis in biographies of Joseph Smith, for example. It is just too complicated for us to know. How can you look at headlines or news articles or witness events and possibly know the real Joseph Smith, the real Jesus, or the real Julius Caesar? It is really impossible to know, and none of us can go back in time, shake hands with these people, and follow them around. So one of the number one rules for me in regards to historians is check what they have left out. Check their citations. Just don't take their word for it. Do the citations, when you look them up, actually support the conclusions they are making? I can't tell you how many times I have looked up citations from a supposed good historian, oftentimes in regards to the LDS Mormon Church, and the citations do not at all support the conclusions they make. When I was outside the Mormon Church for 10 years, I actually spent a lot of time in the biblical critical scholarship world. I followed Bart Ehrman, Dale Allison, and many others. And what this led me to do is, in a sense, deconstruct historians and historical analysis. It didn't seem to me that they could agree about anything in regards to Jesus, even in some cases whether he existed at all and actually walked the earth. There was a huge movement to find the, quote, historical Jesus, which tried to get historians and scholars to agree about what events and what sayings were authentically from Jesus. But this has turned out to be a very fraught enterprise. What we are left with is almost nothing other than that Jesus did exist and was crucified. Now, when I look at what people say about Joseph Smith or the Mormon Church, especially from a historian perspective, I am also equally skeptical. Joseph Smith reportedly said in a speech in Nauvoo on April 7th, 1844, quote, "You don't know me. You never knew my heart. No man knows my history. I cannot tell it. I shall never undertake it. I don't blame anyone for not believing my history. If I had not experienced what I have, I could not have believed it myself," unquote. Recently, I was interacting in the comments section on a video where somebody was going back and forth about the golden plates, whether they existed, whether we can believe the witnesses, and the various different accounts. And I responded that there is no way for any historical analysis to prove the existence of the golden plates, to prove that the Book of Mormon is true. Historians can't prove whether it did or did not happen. Only Joseph Smith and the witnesses themselves know what really happened. Can historians prove the resurrection? Can they prove whether Jesus performed miracles, that he was born of a virgin? None of these things can be proven through history. It has also become clear to me that using historical analysis is very flawed. It can give you information, but information is only as good as the source, and all sources are biased. Let's not forget that memory is also flawed, and people's interpretation of events change over time. To use a modern example, if you were to read the headlines about Donald J. Trump or Barack Obama, you may find that they are either a great villain or a savior, depending on whether you were watching Fox News or MSNBC. So who do you believe? If we were to know them on a personal level, would they really match up with the headlines? Would they really match up to what a historian will be able to say in 200 years? I dare say any historical analysis centuries later will not even begin to capture the truth of who these individuals are. Now, Joseph Smith said that we cannot know his heart. And no historical analysis of people in the past, certainly remotely, can tell us about their heart to the degree that we think we can get from historical analysis. So my urge to everybody when it comes to historians or historical analysis is to understand that there is a lot less certainty about the past than we assume. Sure, we can put forth opinions, we can gather knowledge, but this does not mean that we have understood the past. And so we should keep that in mind, whether it is about Jesus or Joseph Smith or Moses or any other historical figure. And so if we cannot rely on historians, what can we rely on? In my response to the individual about the golden plates, I said that in the end, any belief in Jesus or the resurrection or the virgin birth or the golden plates or the Book of Mormon comes down to a matter of faith. These things cannot ever be proved scientifically. For me, it is about experimenting upon the Word, taking what they have taught and putting it into practice in your life, and the fruits shall bear witness to you. So what are the fruits of Christianity and Mormonism? One can examine those, in a sense, scientifically. Have they been good? Has Utah been made a great place by Mormonism? I dare say it has. And so the purpose of this video, in some sense, is to help us put less pressure on the historian to come up with the ultimate truth, and let us have humility when we read about historical figures and not jump to conclusions where there are no conclusions to be had. I look forward to your comments and suggestions. Until the next video.